everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of It's All in the Movies. My name is Dustin Ingalls, and each episode I'll be joined by a guest to bring you reviews of the newest releases in theaters. Did it again, screwed up the sound, so we're doing it again, but I'm joined by Drew, who's being an awesome sport and doing this the second time. We just saw World War Z, the new Brad Pitt zombie apocalypse movie based on the book World War Z. And so you've read the book, correct?
Yep.
I have not read the book, which will make this great because we'll have one person that read the book, one that didn't, although, as we went over last time, apparently it doesn't quite matter if you've read the book.
Nope, it doesn't follow. It doesn't matter if you've read the book or not.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's a good thing sometimes. Sometimes, you know, you can enjoy the book and you can enjoy the movie as separate things that, you know, are both enjoyable on their own. But did you like World War Z?
I did. I thought it was a really entertaining movie, and throughout the whole thing, I usually sleep through movies sometimes, and as we said on the last one,
No snoring was heard. No
snoring,
you were completely awake, and
it was good. It was very entertaining, like a good Friday night. If you don't have anything to do, just come and watch it.
Yeah. And we had the discussion both coming out of the movie and last time we did this that I was a little concerned. It wasn't that I was concerned. I wasn't convinced this was going to be a great movie. Not because the trailers didn't look good. I like Brad Pitt. I like zombie movies. I like all this kind of stuff. But there was a lot of kind of turmoil and drama on the production of this movie. And basically they threw out an entire third of this movie and started from scratch, which is never a good sign. It's not a good sign when you are starting, I guess, with a bad script or I don't know what happened. I think it was a combination of a lot of things that happened that went wrong here. But they threw out an entire third of the movie, so I was a little nervous. But I have to say I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I ended up liking this movie. I thought that, again, we discussed it last time, the final third of the movie almost felt like, it definitely felt different. It kind of felt like it was coming from a different movie.
Yeah, two different paces, really.
Yes.
And you know, the very point, I could have probably told you at what point they redid the movie, because it's just very different. You're right, the second.
It's the final third of the movie is very, I loved the final third of the movie. If the whole movie was like that, I would have really liked this movie. But it's a much slower, it's a smaller group of people trying to, basically the plot is that the end of the world is happening with these zombies and Brad Pitt is attempting to find a cure he's trying to kind of find patient zero in hopes of finding a cure. And so the first kind of 2/3 is him running around, you kind of get the beginning of this zombie apocalypse and then them running around the world, running from the zombies, trying to find all this stuff. It's kind of this grander action movie almost.
Yeah.
And then the last third is it takes place in one place, which I'm sure was partially due to budget issues, trying to minimize the cost, which I think was even still a massive amount of money to do. But it's in one place. It becomes more of kind of The Thing or something, one of these horror movies where it's like a small group of people is fighting against a group of zombies.
Yeah.
And it was cool.
Yeah. And you have a clearer sense of the goal in
Yeah.
the very last third of the movie. Like, you know what has to be done.
I agree.
And maybe that works for the first 2/3. It's just you can explain it, but there's just so much chaos. No one knows what's going on.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it feels like.
And I think it could work on its own terms. I just think it feels like a different movie. But and then we were also saying that one of my kind of complaints about the movie would be the action, specifically in the front half, because it just is more of these huge set pieces that you kind of see in the trailers, these kind of big action sequences. I couldn't tell what was going on a lot of the times. There was so much chaos, and I think part of it was this is the very rare PG-13 zombie movie. And so they were trying to avoid, I think, really graphic violence. And so to avoid that,
They did, fairly.
they avoided it, but they did it by these really rapid cuts that my brain couldn't quite process. There was already something happening, so we couldn't tell who was getting bit, who was dead already, who was missing. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so that made it a little hard to follow, and it makes the stakes maybe not seem as high because you aren't quite sure who's in trouble and what's going on. Whereas the latter half, you clearly knew. Brad Pitt was in trouble, and he was by himself in these locations, and there were zombies coming after him. And I just thought it was a really creative way. I guess they reworked the final third, and I I thought it worked.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, and going back to the book, it doesn't spoil anything for anyone who wants to read the book. 'Cause
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with the books. The book, just not to spoil anything, the book is a series of interviews with different people who had roles in or experienced this end of the world
Yeah.
apocalypse.
Right.
In different ways.
Yeah.
And so it's tough to. I can't imagine a movie just being where people were just sitting, talking, and interviewing
Right.
people. So they had to fit it in somehow.
So, I mean, clearly this is the prime example of they wanted to capitalize on a property that was popular, but there was really no way to do it except for completely abandoning everything except for the I do have to, I want to ask, were the zombies, these are not traditional zombies either in that they're not eating people, they're biting people to turn them into zombies. Is that kind of the similar thing? Was it more of like a virus that was...
Yeah, I think that's fairly. Yeah, the book, if I remember correctly, I read it about a year ago. There wasn't a lot of emphasis on like eating people, but it was biting.
That's the traditional zombie, you know? It's
Right.
like this slow person that eats brains and like
they were
whatever.
much quicker in that. So one thing, they're quick. I'm not going to spoil it actually. So.
Yeah, I mean these were very different zombies in that they also pointed out like you had to shoot them in the head to kill them, which is a classic zombie thing, but that their emphasis was on slowing them down by shooting them in the body, which I don't think is something that normally happens. But so it's a very different zombie too, which I guess is another reason they felt they knew they could do like a PG-13 movie with this. But so would you recommend?
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It was entertaining the entire way, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I think I would recommend it too. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah.
And if you know, it's not really a horror movie. It's more of like an action
like a suspense
thriller movie.
thriller,
Yeah. And so don't get spooked up if you don't like scary zombie movies. You might still like it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think that about wraps it up. Thanks you so much for doing this twice.
Sure, thanks.
We're in a high traffic area
That's
right
okay,
now.
yeah.
This is, yeah, it happens. But that's the fun of this. That's why we do it in the theater.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. I hope you can join me again for another one.
Yeah, look forward to
And
it.
thank you for watching. If you want to see more of my reviews, you can check out my website at it'sallinthemovies.com. You can send me an email at it'sallinthemovies@gmail.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at allinthemovies. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.